We've had the Premier, we have the Premier, shall I say, of the Eastern Cape, Oscar Mabuyane, with us. You can weigh in on the conversation, 072-110-5584, on the extortion racket in the Eastern Cape. Premier, good evening, and thank you very much for coming through this evening and being a part of our conversation. In fact, I know you have sent an invitation now that that extortion hotline is being launched this Friday, 23rd of August at the SAPS Mthatha Academy 1 is where the hotline will be launched. But you have been talking, from what I gathered, I didn't go too far back, at least I know during your State of the Province address now, you mentioned this. During April's address, you also mentioned it, and maybe even earlier on around January. I know you're saying you've been speaking about it since last year. But at the heart of it, you've been saying protect the fiscus. You're saying that there are some critical projects that are under threat because of the mafias that are operating there. So you've called for the deployment of the SANDF to the Eastern Cape at these mega projects, and you have said they are halting work. In fact, one of the areas that is being halted is the multi-million rand R335 road construction project from Motherwell to Ado at 450K a month is what you were saying they are demanding. It's one aspect of it that you're looking at, the mega projects, but we are learning now that this is deeper than that. It's Mthatha, it's Mvaba, is Mqhekezweni, is Biki, it's Port St. John. It's wide and far-reaching, even reaching to schools and health facilities. Would you say now it's at a crisis proportion?
Well, thank you very much. Good evening, Thabo. Good evening to viewers. Yes, this actually has been brewing for some time. Probably we've been speaking about it for the last 3 years or so when we started to notice. We were very much concerned when we had a collapse of the first attempt of Mthendo Bridge. You would remember the company, the joint venture that was appointed to do Mthendo Bridge almost 3-4 years ago. That couldn't take off due to a number of demands and challenges. This is then we realized that we are being really encroached by this Amadela Ngokubona or construction mafia tendencies. Yes, at a very low scale, there's been this kind of murmurings or whispering around the issue of these protection fees, demands, and other things that have been happening around. We've been following up these issues. I know it probably might have manifested its ugly head and around Mthatha through this property grabbing. We, as a provincial government, we've been dealing with those issues that are within our competence, making it a point that we attend to those issues. I know we've gone to court, removing people. Even that part has caused a bit of a hullabaloo in the public, as if at some point we were not sympathetic, we didn't understand. When we're giving people a chance to come forward and arrange properly with ECDC or Public Works. Yes, it's actually now, it has been kind of proliferating, as you have indicated, really mushrooming in almost a number of areas. There are critical hotspots. As you have mentioned them, where you have some of these tendencies. It's a kind of a syndicate network, organized crime. If you look at it, it's obviously linked to Cape Town, kind of a route, Durban and eThekwini, and you find them also on the eastern part of the province, which is much more closer to KZN. So because of the Eastern Cape being it is, and with its own wide network with these other 3 big cities, Johannesburg, Cape Town and all that. So people are easily finding Eastern Cape sometimes as a refugee camp when they are running away from other issues that they may have done.
Right.
We've been making this call. I know with the minister, former minister Becky Cele, we've tried our level best to attend to this. John's
that's what I wanted to come to. I mean, if I count, at least in the last 6 months, the number of times that you say you've done it is at least 3 times. Now, as a premier, when you are making this call 3 times and you're not getting any movement, I mean, how do you just let it go like that? I know you're saying police need extra capacity. And this extra capacity that the commissioner has now deployed is certainly will make a difference. That's one thing that you've cited. But two, you've cited this question of agility. When another arm of state is not as agile as you would like to, as the premier of the province, what do you do?
Well, you keep on convincing because sometimes you get frustrated, and I kept on using every platform that I have. Even the recent Cabinet Lekgotla, the GNU Cabinet Lekgotla, I've raised the same issue, and I still believe that we need to protect the fiscus. You need to have soldiers around these catalytic projects. Eastern Cape has been really struggling to take off. It's been seriously, chronically underdeveloped. These are huge economic boost projects that we are now seeing in the province. They are also attracting these negative things, negative tendencies and all that, which of course are caused by this rapacious behavior that you see out there. Yeah. So we have been making this call. We have been convincing. I've written a letter last year, July, to Minister of Defense indicating this and requesting this. I say we need to protect what we are doing. Project must be done on time, on budget. And if we don't look at that and monitor and support, it's going to be very difficult to easily turn around the situation. But of course, there will be obviously some kind of hesitations around the issues of soldiers. We would understand during COVID issues that would have been reported and all that. But we kept on engaging with the national government to say, please see it. Here we are really coming from a very low base, huge backlogs, infrastructure backlog. So whatever that we do, we want to be meticulous around. We want to make sure that we deliver on whatever that we said is going to be done on time. Yeah. But I'm happy that the reinforcement, the capacity that has been brought by the police, we had the TRT NIU around Mthatha at some point, but it was taken away to reinforce in Johannesburg to fight the illegal mining. And we're left more vulnerable. And Eastern Cape is so extremely vast province. It's difficult to fight crime when it is actually mushrooming in every corner. It's unlike these big cities where you have got high density, you can move around, many police stations are around. Here, you can travel 800 kilometers within the same province, east to west, south to north, something like that. So you've got to have capacity, helicopters and other things to fight your cash in transit heist, all those kind of issues. But I'm happy now we are one, and we are actually singing from the same hymn book with the minister, reinforcing from the work that we're doing with the previous minister. And the minister came on Friday. We met same day, last Thursday, same day evening, where they had a special meeting with the Minister of Justice to say, let's get the entire ecosystem functioning. Because if police can arrest, as NATCOM is indicating, those people are able to be released by magistrates somewhere with sometimes nefarious reasons. We need NPA to actually roll up their sleeves so that we fight this issue of crime together, and we are seamless about it, and we are effective about it. Police arrest the criminals, the suspects. Those suspects must be kept in jail. So we are now one, I can tell you, the impact we've made over the last few days, some breakthroughs that we've made, and I'm quite happy with that kind of progress. Already, the foot soldiers on the ground in terms of the task teams that have been brought to TRT and NIU, and we are going to clean the streets of Mthatha. I want to send that message to everybody out there that we're rolling out our sleeves from a mayor upwards. We are on the ground. We are going to move street by street to make sure that our people are safe. And we can't allow our communities and our people to be continuously terrorized by criminals.
So 3 things that would have come up from various sectors. If you look at business, for example, the ones that we've spoken to as a channel, they would have said, look, there were big rifles freely roaming around in the streets. It's not like the police were not aware of this, that now that there's a deployment, they're going to do something different. It seems these people are known, they've been there, they carry big rifles, they terrorize everybody, people are living in fear. You could have heard him, he says, no, there's political interference, especially in the situation of Lapumi Kwezi and that school and the the fights around the tower and whatnot, and maybe it might be an opportunistic kind of situation happening there. But there are other principals who are saying it's also happening in our schools. There are doctors who have closed their surgeries. We've been seeing on social media that have also left, and they are saying that the police within the area are actually working with the syndicates, and hence you're going to have the challenge of reporting, because as soon as they go and report with the police, they get a phone call to say, oh, now we've heard that you've opened a case. How are you approaching those three areas?
Look, we've been having a problem where I was raising the same issue with the minister, and I've been raising it with the previous ministers as well. I've raised it with President as well. My concern around these people carrying high caliber weapons, bodyguarding the taxi bosses moving around. And I've been asking myself how sustainable this thing is. How will they sustain? Where do they get money to sustain this kind of heavy securities around and all that? It has been our concern. We've been talking about it, and I've been raising it as well. But unfortunately, some of these guns are legal. I can say, and that's why I said to Minister, you better have a conversation with Sira around these kind of weapons. And I'm not sure how correct it is. And we can see even police, but we've never seen police doing this thing. And legally as they may be, but the way that things are happening in funerals, you see people heavily bodyguarded in funerals, people come into tents. I've been actually moving other people away out of meetings of the ANC. When people come into a meeting protected like that, and I did it when I was in Western Cape for campaigns in one of the evening meetings. I said, no, but you can't allow those kind of things in the meetings of the ANC. Even if people have got bodyguards, people can come with their own shotguns that are hidden somewhere. But you can't be carrying these huge guns in front of people like this. It can't be right. So I'm saying it has been allowed. It's legally permissible. It's not happening in the Eastern Cape only. Everywhere you go, KZN, you will see that. Taxi bosses are all protected like that, which is a challenge in our own lifestyle and how our people are getting exposed. Now we've seen this thing showing up its ugly head again in our funerals. People shooting at random in the funerals. If there's a taxi person being buried, you see people carrying these guns, shooting. And we said, police, stop this thing. It cannot be allowed. And I'm happy in the recent funeral, which was taking place around in a few weeks ago, a few days ago, police had to make arrests for people who were actually shooting at random in those barriers. So we can't allow it. We've got to be very tough. We've got to be very strict and draw the line. Police must be police. People must respect the state. State cannot just watch things happening like that. We might have allowed it because every time these things are done, you'd remember recently, there was a confiscation of guns which were done on the eve of elections,
That's
which
right.
kind of put the entire town to a standstill in Mthatha. And we had to put them through a ballistic test because we don't know whether these guns are legal or not legal. They must be tested, but find out that these guns are legal, are actually permitted through the security companies. And most of those companies, unfortunately, are in Durban. They are not even around here. So it's a problem. But if you go to PE, where a problem like that of a person who was selling guns from a gun shop, big guns to people on the street, and were to come in there as well with the police to say, this cannot be allowed like this. There must be a particular process, even if that is legally permissible. But these are challenges that we have around laws that we've enacted, and how best are we dealing with those and regulate those kind of situations. But we are dealing with the situation. We are hands-on now, and we are going to continue with operations. I can tell you, we are going to eradicate these criminal elements. So I know when people are trying to create diversion, it's easy to drop names of politicians, as you would see every time and again, you say it's politicians. And we have said, don't leave no stone unturned. Investigate. If there are politicians hiding behind, if there are people who are name-dropping names of politicians when they are doing these kind of crimes, it's a problem. But these are organized crimes. These are syndicates that are operating between a number of provinces.
The Lapumi Kwezi situation of the towers, I mean, there seems to be some local chiefs who are maybe taking advantage of the situation and using these forces to get their way.
Well, I'm not really much privy to information there. I tried to get it from the MEC. I spoke to the MEC this morning, said, MEC, can you give me a full report on how many schools. I've seen this thing of schools being blown out of proportion. I've never got a report that suggests that there are schools. Yes, I know around Gqeberha, there were schools that probably would be targeted, teachers being robbed at gunpoint, and even in our healthcare centers. There, what I know, the issue is a community issue. There's a tower that is there, the network tower, which has entered into an agreement between the service provider and the school, and they are paying probably corporate social investment into the school as per the agreement. So I think the issue is about, or the consternation is caused by the interest that the chief has, that the money must be paid to the chief to look after other community developmental initiatives. So it's just an internal community issue. I didn't really get into a point where I got an impression that it had something to do with extortion from where I am. And the MEC was confirming that to me, that really there is just some community interdynamics that were playing out there. So from where I'm seated, I can't really speak much with facts on that one. I'm still looking for more facts around it. Yes, school was disrupted for a day or two. MEC intervened. The Department of Education, schools was reopened. Yes, I can see now it got some kind of limelight because the king has also visited the area. But already the department had intervened into that situation to make sure that school is back to normal. And we are really want to appeal to our communities. That is like when people are protesting for water, they go all out and block the national road, collapse the economy. All these tendencies are economic sabotage. Whether it's an extortion, blocking of roads, you stop the traffic for the whole day on national roads, whether you are protesting for what is right. So even the community there was wrong. If they protest for what they expect from the tower, they cannot close the school. It can't be right. That should be condemned in the most strongest terms. Yeah. So the king was right to go there and intervene as well when he got that one right. But we don't want to exacerbate and blow things out of proportion. We've got to deal with issues based on facts and not recreate other stories that are non-existing.
You've got some 3 senior officers coming there, including head of crime intelligence, or organized crime, if you like. And that's key, I suppose, also important because there needs to be a degree of cleaning up of the policing system itself, because there are those who are calling for redeployment of some of the officers who have been in the area far too long and are beginning to have their tentacles in some of the operations of these syndicates.
Yes, we are happy with that capacitation of the police force here. It's part of the call that we've been making. Unfortunately, the province has been without the head of crime intelligence in the province, and we've been complaining about crime intelligence for the last 5 years or so. I know there was one there, and then there was an intervention. Unfortunately, the turnaround time is a challenge, as we were indicating earlier. I know we have made interventions around Mkegezi and Biki. We had to develop infrastructure, like your court in Biki and the police station. And a decision was taken a couple of years ago to elevate the police station into a level of a cannon. But that work is still being done to date. And I was telling the police bosses to say, we can't work like that. When we make a decision, that decision must be implemented swiftly, with speed, and that is going to be important for all of us to respect how we work together in such kind of situation. So I'm quite happy with the reinforcement now on the ground, and we've been telling police have been making a lot of progress in Eastern Cape, without even those sort of extra capacitation. I must actually commend them. They've tried their level best under very difficult conditions, but police have been overwhelmed. That's why we've been saying we probably need soldiers just to camp around these catalytic projects, like the one that we are making reference to in Mother. It's a billion project. And on the day we were actually opening the 7th legislature in Dabankulu, the 1st of August, we get a call. The person who's been implementing the project informs MEC. MEC is just in front of me to say, these people, extortion people, are saying they are coming here. They want me to pay them 400,000 a month. I'm saying, tell the man to go and open a case in the police station. And the man has been very reluctant and hesitant. It's like, it can't be right. It can't be right. We allow something, and he must not do it. I was saying that myself through the MEC to say, That must be stopped. But now I'm happy that this issue has been brought up to public, and there is this appetite in the public. There's a mobilization, and people are beginning to speak out. I really appreciate the leadership that Utadun Tlabat is showing in Mtata, because people have been terrified, people have been scared. Even himself, he would have been scared for some time, not willing to go out. He knows we've been speaking about that issue for quite a number of years, our concern and how to protect businesses. I'm happy that he has decided now to lead as a leader of the Chamber of Business that side, to show that we must speak out, we must report, we must identify bad elements in police. And as there were people arguing that some policemen or women are also collaborating with these criminals, etc. Those are allegations that must still be investigated. So the team that is here, led by brigadiers and generals, to focus on investigation and cracking this problem of extortion. Surely it should give us, it should yield some better, good dividends for us in actually stopping the problem.
The proliferation of crime, I suppose, if you look at the latest statistics on employment, the employment rate in your province, 39.7%, quite high. It's something that certainly is a contributing factor, supposed to the escalation of criminal activity.
Not really, not really. Remember, Eastern Cape has been a safe province for all these years. The unemployment rate has been extremely high. It's a historical issue. It's caused by how the apartheid has designed itself around Eastern Cape, as well as the colonial system. This province has been condemned to be a labor-sending province. This province must remain a province for the migrant labor system. Projects that we're implementing now in the Eastern Cape, if you talk about the multi-purpose dam, Mzivubu Dam, the multi-billion dam, it's a project that was conceptualized in the early 60s, deliberately. All governments that were there decided not to do that project, because that project would have brought about tourism, fishing, agriculture in the area, and that would have meant mining would not be able to recruit people from that area to go to mine, or those people would be able to focus on their development. The road we're building now, we're constructing now, the N2 highway, which connects Eastern Cape to KZN, it was actually conceptualized in 2003. You can imagine, almost 20 years now, government dilly-dallying around that. Those projects are done now, and the issue of high unemployment is historical. A province is hugely underdeveloped. It has got a huge potential. That's why we've brought about your cannabis industry, which went out to public, risking, and everybody now is embracing it. That's why we've been speaking about agro-processing in the province. That's why we've developed a master plan on oceans economy. These are catalytic interventions we're making to turn around the socio-economic outlook of the province. We have actually, post-COVID, we have basically worked hard to reduce the high unemployment. We were below 40%. At some point, we would have been at around 37, 38%. Yes, we went back for the last 3 consecutive quarters, but again, we have improved now, bringing in more than 25,000 new jobs and reducing the high unemployment by 1.4%. So it's a hard work that we're doing. It's going to take some time. You need a huge investment. We started the sixth term, with a 200 million investment portfolio in the Eastern Cape. When we ended the 6th term, we were at 200 billion. You can imagine the difference that has been made. So we are clear on that. We are focusing on microeconomics. We are making it a point that we revive factories that are currently defunct in Dimbaza, Fort Jackson, and we're very clear. Look at our State of the Province addresses, very clear articulation on what exactly we're seeking to achieve. We're very clear on the vision that we are driving this province, and we believe the time of the Eastern Cape to thrive is now. And we're working towards that. And I can tell you, come the end of this term, the Eastern Cape will never be where it is.
Right.
No one has believed that Eastern Cape can be above 80% on matric rate. From 1994, it has always been below 50% on matric pass rate. Now it is above 80%. It is actually equal to other provinces that are better resourced than this province. We are working hard to turn around this province, and we are going to succeed.
Premier, I appreciate your time. Let's leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much for coming on. Premier of the Eastern Cape, there, Oscar Mabuyane.